So today we are going to make lamb chops sous vide. I got some really nice lamb chops from Sam's Club. This is about 1.5 pounds and I got 2 packages. Go ahead and get the lamb trimmed down. That's good. So if you've never done this, lamb chops are basically like little mini T-bones. And you can see if I stack them, this is how they were sort of in the lamb, lined up like this, and they slice them this way. So they're like little T-bones. You've got this would be your New York strip, and this would be your filet mignon, and then there's a little bone with the Y. The only issue is this fat strip right here. We're gonna go ahead and trim this off, and it's pretty easy to do. We start here, we just start on the end and make an initial slit. And then what we're gonna try to do is just cut as close to that fat as possible, obviously without cutting our fingers. Okay. And we're just trimming this fat right off the side of that chop. And we are not going to throw it away because we are going to use it. So you can see there's a little bit of meat on there, but for the most part, we have a nice clean lamb chop now. So there's another one right like that. A little bit of meat on there is okay. You're not gonna lose a ton. There's still quite a bit on here. And if you leave a little bit, that's fine too. So let me go through these. I will finish cutting these up, and then when I'm finished, I will record again. But the first thing I wanna do is put together my marinade. Now the cool thing about sous vide is it's not just a marinade for sitting in the fridge. It's also going to cook in that. You're gonna clean most of that off when it's done cooking, but it's gonna just impart a really nice flavor. I like to add a little bit of olive oil, maybe a tablespoon. I'm gonna be adding more fat, but again, a lot of this stuff is gonna wipe right off. Like it's not something that you're serving with the meat. It's just a marinade. It cooks in it. You take the meat out and you're gonna actually pat the meat dry. So a lot of this stuff is just imparting a flavor, so don't panic. A little bit of apple cider vinegar, maybe a teaspoon. We're gonna do a quarter cup of water. Just grab my utensil. Okay. And then we're gonna take, this is mesquite marinade, it's Grill Mates. Don't worry about the directions on the back. You're just going to take this, very easy. And again, the cool thing about sous vide, it's easy. And I'm gonna say this 1,000 times. Not 1,000, I'm gonna say it probably in a lot of my videos. I can't go to a restaurant now and order meat if it's priced over 40 or 50 bucks. Reason being, and this is gonna sound really arrogant, my meat is better. I can go to a steakhouse. We have a lot of really nice places in Tampa to go for a nice steak, and quite frankly, I would stack my steak, I would stack my meat up against any one of those places. Sam's Club, each one of these packages of lamb, right? So each one of these packages of lamb was under $15. So this is a pound and a half of beautiful lamb chops. These are about 1 inch thick for under $15. I'm serving a family of 5, and you'll see when they're done, these things are going to, in my opinion, be better than anything I could buy. Anyway, here's what we're gonna do. We'll just do one at a time. Okay, I'm gonna take half the lamb, put it in one bag, half the lamb, put it in another. So take it, and you're going to put it in. Again, it's not rocket science, but you do want to have a little bit of space between them. So I'm going to take about half of the fat, and I'm going to put it fat side right here. Let me move this over here so you can sort of see. I'm going to put it fat side, this is cut side, down. And the only reason I'm doing that is to get as much fat contact on the meat as possible. So I'm gonna go here, here, and again, just spread it around. Try to keep it on top of the meat. And again, this is like a confit. It's gonna be a little bit like a confit where it's gonna be releasing, as it's cooking, it's gonna render all of that fat back down onto the meat, which is gonna give it just, I think it's called unctuous. It's called unctuousness. Okay, don't freak out, okay? But I'm also, and again, there's a lot of fat in there. The fat is not going to be a huge issue because most of that's gonna drain out when I drain the bag. I'm putting 2 pats of butter in here for flavor. Okay, so I'm just gonna take half the marinade and literally just sort of dump it in. That's it. This marinade smells really good. Okay, I'm gonna take the rest of the fat, put it in here. Okay, and seal the bag for now. So, okay, so now I go for the second half. So I take the second half of the fat I trimmed off. I set that here, and now I'm just putting the next 1.5 pounds of lamb in. It sounded dramatic. I just looked up and saw I forgot my onion. And I definitely want to get onion in there. Again, the onion is not going to be served with the lamb. It's not going to be cooked with the lamb. I just want to get some really good onion flavor. So I'm leaving these pieces really big so I can just pull them off when it's done. But, you know, the cool thing about sous vide is you really get to do anything you want. You get to put whatever in there, whatever you have. If you have fresh herbs in a garden, throw them whole in the bag. If you have whatever, onion, you can throw tomato in there. You can throw whatever you want in there, and it's just gonna cook that flavor. And that helps with the marinade. The other thing too that you're gonna notice, I did double bag these. And the only reason I did that, I'm not super superstitious. There's a superlative. But I said, I've never had a problem with them bursting, and that means that they would burst this time. So whatever, I double bag these just in case one of the bones pokes a hole in it. So right now I've got this 2 bags, and you're gonna see what I did with my finger. I sealed the inner one right here, almost all the way. And then what I'm gonna do is take my other hand and I'm gonna push the bag underwater, okay? And I wanna move it around while keeping the meat underwater and give it a little bit of pressure, move it around, okay? And what you're doing is forcing the air out, and you're allowing the weight of the water to squeeze the air out. So it's squeezing the meat. Okay, once you've got the majority of it out, leave the lip just outside of the water. If you lift it up again, it's just obviously gonna suck the air right back in. So leave it just outside the water. Okay, and you can see it's not even, it's not floating. So there's so little air in this bag right now. It's sort of in the cracks here a little bit, you know, like the folds and things, but there's so little air in here that it doesn't really want to float. I mean, it's going to float up a little bit, but it's not popping to the top like a cork. And I'll show you on the other one how much it was floating at the beginning. I seal it up, okay? I'm going to fold this one down inside. Okay, and then I'm just gonna dip it again. Whoops, sorry. Make sure you're sealed up again until you're about 2 inches from the end. Put your finger in, that allows the air to escape. And you're just gonna do the same thing on this. Pow, right there. And what you have is a sous vide bag. There. So now I have a true seal, and it's not quite vacuum packed, but it's packed in there pretty good, right? It is definitely under vacuum. I can't lift the bag here. It's up against the meat. So that's what you're looking for. So the first thing I use is a mug, a coffee mug. And you're gonna say, why would you do that? Because this is the tip of my sous vide wand. This is my whole sous vide wand. Okay, so you know at the tip, there are inlets here where the water goes in and it circulates through. If the plastic bag pushes up against that, you're gonna have much less water circulation. The water's not gonna be moving and you won't have an even cook. So essentially what I do, I do it in this order. I basically just take my sous vide machine and I put it in, and it's completely not plugged in right now, so I would not recommend plugging it in right now. And then I take my mug and I just fill it with water and invert it. And I just put that right next to the sous vide wand. And basically that keeps everything away from it. And then I just put the bags with the food in around it. So I've got this one here, okay? And then I take the other one The other bag, these are the ones we put together. Put together. Okay, and okay, so just to recap, I've got the lamb in the water, I've got it weighted down. Now I'm gonna put a lid on top. Just be careful, don't knock it off. I have knocked these off before. I've got it on and I've got it set for 137, right? And then I'm gonna click go. A lot of people are gonna say, wait a minute, 137, aren't you supposed to do rare lamb? And I think rare would be like 128 to 130 or something like that. I like medium rare, closer to medium when it comes to lamb. So I know a lot of people are probably gonna say you're overcooking the lamb, but that's the cool thing about sous vide. You get it exactly the temperature that you want. This says 59 hours on it. Obviously it's not gonna cook that long. So right now it's like 3:40 in the afternoon. I have no idea what time we're gonna eat. Probably 6:30 or 7. So this is gonna be going for a couple hours. For red meats, I usually say I wanna go for at least 2 hours. But I've tried recipes that are like cooking for, on short ribs for like 72 hours. And it comes out pretty good. So for red meat, it's kind of tough to overcook. You can overcook seafood, you can overcook chicken. Red meat, I like it to go for at least 2 hours, and if it goes for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, honestly, it tastes about the same to me. So I put it on when everything's ready to go. It's marinated for a little bit, and right now it's at 110, and it's gonna climb up to 137. I think I set it at 137. When we get back from our after-school activity today, I'll take it out, I'll clean it, wipe it down, flame it, and I'll cut into it and I'll show you. Super, super pretty. All right. Okay. So I am taking the lamb out of the pot. It is hot. It's 134 degrees, so you have to be a little careful. Okay. I just grab the bag, take it out, and it's right here. Okay. So I'm gonna put that on the counter. And same for this one. Okay. Right here. Okay, so my amazing film assistant, Aiden, is helping me. He's my middle son. Okay, so I'm gonna open this, back away a little bit.
So hot.
Filming this.
This one.
Okay, so I'm gonna take this bag, I'll just put aside. Now I'm gonna take this sauce that it's been cooking in, and it is juice. I'm sure you could do something with it, but I'm just gonna drain it away. See through the bag here, there's onion, and remember there's fat. I put the fat in here too. I don't wanna take the fat out. Okay, so come around here so you can film it, buddy. Okay, so here's, come closer over here. So this is the lamb, and it is perfectly medium rare. Stand here. Okay. This is the fat that we put back in, so we're not going to do anything with that. And again, this is why we don't invite people that are over for dinner to come in, because when you pull stuff like this out, film this, it does not look so appetizing, a big chunk of fat. But that flavor has been embedded in this meat, and it is going to be amazingly good. I think that's it.
How many is that?
That's enough. So you can see just by looking at the meat that from the middle to the outside, it is a beautiful medium rare, right? And what's missing from this lamb, and again, this is why this is not your final presentation, what's missing is the caramelization from the fire, from the flame, or from the direct heat. Now, when you're cooking a regular piece of meat, let me use this one because this is a nice example. When you're cooking a regular piece of meat, right, the outside is brown, right, and charred in some areas, but it's browned, and the inside would be this color. And what happens to the meat is when it's raw, you have to push the heat from the outside in. So it takes time for that heat to get through. Now, as it's traveling through the meat, to get to the center, because the very center, when you test meat for doneness, you go to the center with the thermometer, and you'd want to hit medium rare, which is the 134. However, for the heat to get to the center of the meat, it has to travel from the outside. So the outside is going to very quickly hit 134, which is going to be medium rare if you're cooking on a grill or the oven or a skillet. And then it's going to continue traveling in. Now, as it's going in, the temperature continues to rise. So your end result for that thin piece of the middle of the meat is going to be 134, but because it's taken so much longer for that heat to get through, and you're cooking with much higher temperatures, 350, 400, 450 degrees, that outer temperature, that outer band of meat around the outside is going to go from medium rare to medium well, and the outside is well done. And that's why when you cut into a piece of meat, you see almost those rings. If you look at the outside of this piece of lamb, it is medium rare all the way around. And I can cut it in half, and it continues to be medium rare all the way around. So what I want to do is preserve that medium rare on the inside through the whole piece of lamb, but I still want to get the caramelization on the outside, because right here I'm looking at medium rare, and it's just not as appetizing as what we look for in food. So the point is, I want to get that caramelization. I want to brown that meat on the outside as quickly as I can in order to avoid cooking the inside of the meat. And the goal is to have browned outside, charred like you took it off the grill, right? So these bones you want to see a little bit of char on, but the inside you want to continue to see this medium rare, and that's where the blowtorch comes in. So at this point, I have transferred the lamb chops from the plate with the paper towel, and I put them in a cast iron skillet. Cast iron is your tool of choice for this next step, as will become evident in about 2 seconds. You have to say action or something.
Action.
Got it. So I already said that we need to char the outside, so the best way to do it is high heat for a brief amount of time. Best way to do that I have found. I put on my little Weber.
Not your big giant grill.
Not my grill. Blowtorch. And you don't want to go crazy with this, right? It's very easy to just cook it way beyond. So you're just basically touching it. You don't have to do that. Come a little closer so you can see. So those are flipped. Here we go, one more time. All right, so a little bit of salt. I didn't add a whole lot of salt, if my viewers will remember. Okay. And I'm just gonna plate it up here for presentation purposes. This is gonna be really good. And I like to sort of get some of the oil in the bottom of the pan that rendered out of whatever fat was left. How's this look, babe?
Looks amazing. I'm gonna eat it right now.
Well, I'm gonna give you the first bite, actually. I've got a little creamy horseradish sauce there if anybody wants. I don't think the kids will want it, but. All right, so I am gonna cut you two pieces. First off of the New York strip part, just because I want to show what the medium rare looks like with the sous vide. And then I will cut you a very special filet mignon, lamb filet mignon. Okay.
It's still called that even though it's lamb.
I don't know. So, can you get like a piece over here? So I'm gonna cut this piece here just so we can take a look at it. So if I cut into this, okay, do you see? So you have the very dark outside and then it goes immediately into the medium rare. There's no transition. Normally when you cook on the grill or when you do any other heat, it's gonna ease into the medium rare. This entire bite is gonna be medium rare. So I am going to cut two pieces. Let me see the phone for a second. I'm gonna film my wife.
Oh, I'm not prepared to be on camera. Perfect.
Yeah? Okay.
Very good.
All right.
Who's this
That's
other
it.
piece for?
That's for me. But I don't think I need to be filmed. Okay, so anyway, that's it. That's how you do your sous vide lamb. And that's what you're left with, a big pile of lamb chops that the family is going to...
I'm just gonna see it first.
You have to see it? Are you going for the... Oh, she went for the tenderloin. Take a bite. Medium rare right down to the bone. And?
Perfect.
I'm gonna eat this. Yeah. Oh, pretty darn good.
Stop filming me eating.
Sorry. All right, that's it. That's how you make sous vide lamb chops.